Hey guys, Dr. Shook here. Hope you're doing well today. Today we're going to talk about something extremely important. I'm deviating just a bit from toxins, but I have some information on brain health and toxins. I just wanted to talk about this particular issue today because it's on my mind. This is something that's super important. As you guys know, if you were able to attend the webinar that we had last week, I believe it was last Thursday, then you know that I talked a tremendous amount about a lot of the health problems that we're seeing explode in the United States and really around the world. And brain health and neurodegenerative conditions is one of the problems that we're just seeing. You know, it's a tremendous problem. It's this huge wave of neurodegenerative conditions that we're seeing just exploding. So we're talking about, really primarily we're talking about dementia, Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's. And these are neurodegenerative conditions that are primarily driven by purple marker that doesn't work. Primarily driven by inflammation. Primarily, if you look at these neurodegenerative conditions, primarily Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia, the most common underlying driving factor is inflammation. I mean, when you really boil it down, it's an inflammatory based disorder. Now, a lot of things can contribute to it, but they ultimately end up driving inflammation. So, you know, this is something that I plan on going into in great detail with a lot of live streams, is brain health, because it is a huge problem. Because it doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter if you want to age well. It doesn't matter if you want to have a higher functioning, be higher functioning in business or whatever it may be, whatever aspect of your life, whether you want to be a high performing athlete. As the brain declines, all those things decline. And it doesn't have to be, you know, a very marked difference where you have like a very significant, you know, someone that's a lay person can notice a change in your function, right? It doesn't have to be this huge loss of function from a neurological perspective that will cause you to decline in athletic performance, in your executive decision making in your business, or in aging. Like, you can see differences in aging, like literally looking at someone's face and looking at their faces, how they look, how they hold their face, their animation, their lack of animation. I mean, how many of you know someone or have seen someone that has the mask-like face, right? The mouth open, blank stare, not very much blinking. Those are brain. That's brain-based, guys. That's cognitive decline. That is a brain that is in big trouble at that point. We've got to do things way before we get there to make a difference. But ultimately, the underlying thing is, how healthy is your brain? Is inflammation is going to be the core base thing that we have to look at, and all the things that drive inflammation. Okay, so you know, when we start to really ask the question, like, what's the first sign of neurodegenerative problems? Memory, short-term memory. So if you're one of those people that you can't remember where you put your keys, or you can't remember where you put your phone, or you go to the grocery store and you walk outside and you're like, where did I park? And you can't remember like little things, or you start to forget names, or you know, it gets more progressed, you lose familiarity with more like long-term things that you should remember, like but short-term memory goes first. And really, you know, the interesting thing with that is that you start to lose neurons or nerve cells in a part of the brain called the hippocampus. Now, I've got my model here. So when we think of the brain, we typically think of this part that is what we call the cortex, or everything that is kind of the, I don't know what you want to call that. It's definitely not brown. It's beige-esque. But it's the cortex here, right? So the big part of the brain, that's usually what most people think about. Well, if we look inside the brain, if we were to take it and split it in half, which I've done, and we look inside, So there's a central structure here in the brain that's called the hippocampus. Okay, the hippocampus is where you have your short-term memory. Okay, that's when you start to lose the hippocampus, you start to lose short-term memory. And as those neurons degenerate or die, you start to lose the neural connections and the memory goes. Well, the hippocampus does a lot of other things. One of the things that we commonly see is, you know, when I'm looking at someone and I'm looking at their stress hormone production, in particular their cortisol, a lot of times we will measure cortisol at 4 points during a day. So 4 points over a 24-hour period, so we can plot the rate and rhythm of cortisol production. If that rate and rhythm is off, it should be higher in the morning, low at about 2 or 3 in the evening, and then it should gradually rise throughout the evening and night. If that rhythm is off, then that is due to the hippocampus not controlling and coordinating that production. Now we know that so that's a brain-based coordination of your circadian or daily cortisol rhythm that's dysfunctional. Now if that's combined with memory issues with short-term memory, some other things, then we very well are looking at, you know, something we've got to take really quick action, and there could be some very significant loss occurring in that region of the brain. So the hippocampus is really important. And the interesting thing about the hippocampus, you know, it is associated with short-term memory. It's one of the first things that we see go when there's Alzheimer's and dementia and you're losing cognitive function. It is very sensitive to changes in this. So there's 3 things here that really lead to neurodegeneration. Okay, three things that we see that lead to neurodegeneration. Does anyone know what this is? Can you tell me what this is? I'll give you some clues. Okay, I'll give you some clues. The hippocampus is very sensitive to this. So if there are high levels of this, it's a hormone. The hippocampus, you can actually accelerate loss of the neurons in that area. So what is it? It ends with an L. It's a hormone. And it leads to neurodegeneration. Begins with a C. I know some of you know. You got to put it in the comments if you know. It's a hormone that leads to neurodegeneration, especially if it's accelerated, because it causes accelerated loss of the neurons in the hippocampus. Cortisol. What is this, guys? It's cortisol. What is cortisol? Cortisol is your primary stress hormone. Where's cortisol made? It's made in the adrenal glands. Elevated levels of cortisol will accelerate and can cause neurodegeneration of the hippocampus. Interestingly enough, the cortisol at high levels can degenerate that area of the brain, and that area of the brain is what I just told you guys. It's responsible, the hippocampus is responsible for coordinating the release of cortisol. So as the hippocampus starts to degenerate and you start to lose that function, it no longer can coordinate the cortisol release and rate and rhythm as effectively. So I hope you guys, this is hugely important. Give me 1 second, guys. See what's going on here. Okay, so we are still live. I'm just getting a phone call. So you guys are actually on my cell phone. You're watching me. We're streaming this live through the phone, and I just got a call. But the cortisol is definitely a major issue for brain health. Cortisol is a major issue for numerous other physiological processes. So what's the other thing? So we've got cortisol and inflammation that are huge drivers of neurodegenerative conditions. What is this? What else is huge? We know that fluctuations in this contribute to and promote type 3 diabetes. What is type 3 diabetes? What is all through the scientific literature now is type 3 diabetes? Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's. So if you go to the scientific literature, if you just type in type 3 diabetes in Google, you're going to see tons of papers that say Alzheimer's disease. Because we know that fluctuations in blood sugar lead to fluctuations in cortisol. It drives inflammation. Both of these things drive inflammation. They promote loss of the neuron density of the brain, and it can lead to type 3 diabetes, poor glucose regulatory control in the brain, Alzheimer's disease. I wanted to go through this with you guys because this is extremely, extremely important. The take-home message here is what? If you want to keep your brain healthy, you have to address the whole person. It's not just blood sugar. It's not just the stress response. And with stress response, what promotes a stress response, guys? Chemical inflammation. So biochemical imbalances, inflammatory drivers, food sensitivities, chronic infections, environmental chemical reactivities, autoimmunity. Those all drive inflammation. They drive cortisol. They drive fluctuations in blood sugar. It's all connected, but the take-home message here is you cannot have inflammation at a high level for a prolonged period of time, or it's going to lead to neurodegenerative problems, and it's going to set you up for very poor health in the long run. We're at epidemic levels with this. This is a huge, huge problem. So we have to take action to stop and prevent this. This does not have to be your future, but you have to make a choice. You have to make a choice. So many people ignore their health until it's at a crisis state. And then guess what? Why is it such a problem? Why is it so important that you don't ignore these issues? You don't ignore this brain issue. Because this is the last thing you want to put off. And why is that? Because you cannot make new brain cells or nerve cells. Nerve cells do not go through mitosis, a process of division and where they renew. They do not do that. You're born with the neurons that you have, the nerve cells. A nerve cell is a neuron. When they die off and you lose the nerve cells, they are gone. The only way that we regain function is that the nerve cells that we have left make new connections with one another. It's called plasticity. So that is a good thing. But the problem is the more of these that you lose and the worse this gets, the harder it becomes to regain any function. So you've got to do the right thing. So you have to know what's happening. So, how do you do that? Well, you do that by first of all, if you have health problems, if you have digestive tract problems, I could teach you guys for days on this material. There's just so much information that this is a 30,000 foot overview for sure of just a few of the problems. But there's a definite digestive tract brain connection. We know that's there. There are so many other issues here. There's a toxic connection with toxins. There are so many other things. But you've got to start with a healthy diet. So if I'm going to tell you guys basic things you need to do to take care of yourself and improve your brain health. Like let's say you do nothing else. Eat a diet of whole, unprocessed foods, no grains. Whole, unprocessed foods, no grains. That's what most people are going to thrive with. That's what's going to help to lower inflammation in most people. That's what's going to help to regulate blood sugar in most people. Okay? A whole, unprocessed diet. And that's what I would give as a general suggestion to someone that I'm working with. Now, of course, this is not for you guys because I don't know your particular case. This is informational in nature and not a direct recommendation for you. But this is what I might do in a similar case if I wanted to help someone prevent this. And I was like, okay, a general recommendation, someone that I knew their history, I would say, well, whole food diet. Don't miss meals. Eat frequently enough so your blood sugar stays stable. Exercise. Move your body. Movement is more for brain health than it is for musculoskeletal health and heart health. Exercise is more of a brain activity. Contrary to what you might think, when you exercise, your brain lights up like a light bulb with electrical activity. And the reason that's beneficial is because it keeps the neurons and the nerve cells healthy. Okay? So I would say exercising, eating a whole foods diet, no grains, no sugar at all, water, absolutely 100% nothing artificial, no artificial sweeteners. Things like aspartame, which is an artificial sweetener in all your diet drinks, is a neurotoxin. It is an neurotoxin. It means it excites the neurons of your brain, it excites the nerve cells, will destroy them. Okay? If you want to be sick, you can do those things. You got to go back to what is basic and true to our biology. Not the new stuff that's being made and that's put out there, this garbage that's being passed off as food that is not food. Okay? So you go back to that. Diet, whole foods diet, exercise and movement, constantly challenging your brain to learn new things. Okay? Those learning new things helps you to make new connections with nerve cells and neurons. It keeps them healthier. It's the plasticity. You've got to do that. Now, there's all kinds of supplementation. There's a lot of other things that may be beneficial. But we're talking about the most basic things. Movement, learning new things, optimal diet. Whole foods, no grains, water, absolutely no artificial sweeteners or any of that stuff. I mean, those are going to be the most basic. Now, if you want to learn, you guys, if you want to learn more about like toxic approaches and things that I'm going to be teaching a lot more in the future on brain health, because a tremendous amount. I mean, I've had tons of education in brain health, because as you guys know from following me, and when we talk about the thyroid, we talk about all these different aspects of your health. You know, everything is what? Everything is connected. Everything's connected. You can't change, like cortisol affects, so many other physiological processes. Your thyroid, if you have poor thyroid hormone physiological activity, guess what suffers? Your brain. You've got to have adequate thyroid hormone stimulation of the nerve cells of your brain to keep them healthy. If you don't, you'll have neurodegeneration. Everything's connected, guys. That's why when you study like what I've studied in the training that I've been through, it appreciates those things. It's the whole goal is to look at the whole person. When I work with people one-on-one, I'm looking at the whole person. We're not just looking at the chief problem that the person's reporting. Not at all. Because there's so many different things that can affect and create, the similar symptoms. You've got to look at the whole person. You have to. You have to. So, but if you want to learn more about like toxins and toxic effects, I'm going to be talking more about that in future live streams. But you can go to nomoretoxicbody.com and you can register for the next webinar where I'll be talking about. Our next webinar is going to be July 13th. I still don't know. I mean, we're going to be teaching this material, but I still don't know if we're going to have a new class enroll in our detoxification program, which this is the only way that people are going to be able to get into that program is if they attend one of the webinars, they get testing done. If we offer testing, we still don't know what kind of cycle we're going to be on. We're going to be on a 30-day, 60-day, or 90-day cycle because we're going to take people through in groups. It's a new way. The way that I'm working with people now is in small groups, so we can really help people that are very committed to getting better and improving their health as much as possible. We're helping those people in a small group rather than trying to work with, 10,000 people in a Facebook group or, hundreds of people in practice. We're working with small groups of people to take them to optimal health as much as we can. And then I'm working with maybe 1 to 3 or 1 or 2 people one-on-one per month. And those people have to get that. When I work with people one-on-one, there's no time to waste. We're not going to do trial and error. We're going to get testing, and we're going to get to the root drivers of processes, the best of our ability to give that person optimal health. You guys only have so much time, okay? You only have so much time on this planet, so do I. So I have to decide, do I want to work with 500 people that just want to work through dietary things and me try to help them? That's more of the role. You can do that on your own, guys. Like I teach you stuff that you can do that on your own to try to help yourself. There's a lot of ways you can learn to do that. Or am I going to work with people that want to get better and want to make a huge difference in their life, their family's life, their community's life? So I have to make a decision. And I have to make a decision, do I want to be working with a ton of people and bogging me down, or do I want to work with people that are really committed to getting better so I can spend time with my family and work on reaching more people? Because, I want you guys to understand, if you want to learn a lot more about toxic involvement, go to nomoretoxicbody.com. We're going to have a webinar on the 13th. You can learn more about these toxins in our environment and even brain and neurological effects of some of these toxins. I'm going to be doing like live streams, as I said, with the brain, and there's a ton of other chemicals I'm going to be covering. There's just so much to talk about. There's so much to teach, and there's a lot of information that you guys are not aware of. If you need help, like if you need help sorting this stuff out and trying to figure out what to do, you may be a candidate to work with me one-on-one. But literally, I'm only taking 2 people. Really is about all I want to take per month as someone that I personally work one-on-one with. And I'm telling you, there's no more like just stepping through it. If I work with you, I'm going to give you direction on testing. And I don't mean this in any kind of negative way, you either have to get the testing done or I'm not going to work with you one-on-one. And it's not personal, it's just I don't have time to guess with you. And there's a ton of people that that need help and want to get right to the root of it. If you want to go through more of a, working through the problems, then you want to, go to our webinar. Maybe you start our detoxification program or our Hashimoto's transformation program, or maybe you try some things on your own at home, like the autoimmune paleo diet, or something like that can help you to work through it. But I'm only working with a very small number of people, very small number of people one-on-one. And then we're working with people in groups so that we can really help people to get as good of health as we possibly can. So it's either, and then I'm trying to impact a ton of people by teaching, like this stuff, guys, by helping you to educate yourself and giving you ideas on things you can do before you ever seek anyone's help, I should say. So if you're interested in maybe working one-on-one, go to drbradshuk.com and click on Application for Care, and you can learn more about working one-on-one and what that means, okay? But guys, this is so huge. I know that a lot of you are seeing this directly impacting your life. I know that you have loved ones that either have Parkinson's or dementia or Alzheimer's, some degree of this. And listen, guys, these are all things that are largely there are a lot of things that can be done preventatively. But quite frankly, once the brain has been impacted and you've lost neurons and nerve cells, I mean, you're looking at a huge uphill battle. And really, you would just hope, that you could slow or decrease the loss of function. Regaining function is completely up in the air, and it's really, once the neurons are gone, it's a really difficult process and difficult to make significant improvements with. But I can tell you, we know that this and neurodegenerative conditions, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, dementia, are exploding. And it's because people are chronically inflamed. They're stressed out. They have cortisol levels that are all over the place that are causing loss of neuron density of the brain, so they're losing brain mass. Blood sugar's fluctuating all over the place, driving inflammation, causing them developing what they call type 3 diabetes, which in the scientific literature is synonymous with Alzheimer's. These are almost all these things are preventative. Now, granted, there are things like head traumas and things like that are absolutely epidemic, and that you need to work with, that you can do things to help with improvement of these inflammatory processes that occur with concussions. There are definite things that can be done there, and I'll teach more about that in the future. But this is something that I wanted to share with you guys because it's such an important aspect of our quality of life. It is exploding in the rate of these neurodegenerative conditions is exploding, not just in the United States but around the world. And there are some very core drivers of this process that you can do a lot about yourself. You can do a lot of things to prevent this. But you guys have to make a decision in your life to change it. You have to change it. And you know what you do? It's easy. What you do is you wake up one day and you say, I am tired of not being healthy. I'm tired of not having the life that I want to have. And you just change. You just say, I'm done. I am done with not being healthy. I'm going to make a difference. I have a whole life ahead of me. Maybe you have grandkids. Maybe you have kids. Maybe you just want to travel. Maybe you want to help other people. Maybe there are other people that you want to have an impact on and you don't feel like you can do that because of your health. You wake up and you make a conscious decision that you're going to change no matter what. And guess what you do? You go and you throw all the garbage out of your all the processed foods out of your kitchen, and you say, I'm only going to eat whole foods, and you start learning. And you maybe you're not perfect, but you start going and you start doing it. You start eating whole foods. You start just drinking water, and you figure it out. But you know what? It's the ready, fire, aim. Right? You just take action and you do, and you figure it out as you go. You just make the decision. Do not sit there and have what they say the paralysis. So you're paralyzed because you're overanalyzing everything. Just start working on something and learn more as you go. Okay? Your intention will go a long way. You'll figure it out. So anyway, this is super important to me. This is really important because we know that neurodegeneration impacts people with thyroid dysfunction. I mean, one of the reasons that you can't be hypothyroid when you're pregnant is because your baby can suffer. because it will impact development. You can't be hypothyroid as a child and during development because everything gets affected. If you're hypothyroid as an adult and you don't have thyroid hormone stimulation of every single cell in your body, everything declines. Every single cell in your body declines. It's all connected, guys. Anyway, I'm going to get off of my soapbox. Stop preaching today. But it's an important message. You need to take it seriously. And if you want to make a difference, you've got to be your own advocate. You've got to be your own advocate. If you want to learn more about how toxins affect this and a lot of other things, you go to No More Toxic Body and register for our next webinar, which will be July 13th. If you need some help figuring some things out one-on-one, you may be a candidate for working with me one-on-one, but I only accept about 2 people per month. That's all I'm going to do. You can go to drbradshuk.com and you can look at application for care. If you are trying to figure out some things to do on your own, whole food diets, now this is not specifically to you, but in general, I might say whole food diet, absolutely no processed food, water, exercise and movement is extremely important for the brain, and challenging yourself with learning is going to be very, very helpful at improving brain function. There are supplements and some other things that might be beneficial, but let's keep it simple, and let's look at diet, exercise and movement, learning. Okay? Hope this helps you guys out. Appreciate you so much. I hope this has been beneficial, and this helps you to be better educated so you can be your own advocate and be what? An active participant in your healthcare. You're not a bystander. You have a choice. You have a choice. You can be a participant and actively help guide your healthcare. Okay? You can be a better partner with your healthcare providers. You can avoid healthcare providers if you do the right things to keep yourself healthy. Right? And it's my mission to change one person's life at a time so that we can impact their family, their community, and ultimately the world. Just do it one person at a time. So anyway, guys, appreciate you so much. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. I'll hang out with you again tomorrow, hopefully. There's a ton of stuff to teach, so I have unlimited topics to talk about. But guys, remember, help me help other people. Share this video. Share this live stream so that other people can learn about this. So many people have no clue. These are epidemic proportions. And whenever I see, this information just needs to be shared with other people so that they can learn that they can do a lot of other things to keep their brain healthy, to keep their body healthy, and to be independent and not lose function. So help us help other people. Share the videos, and let us know if you have any comments or questions. Put them in the box below the video here, and we'll take a look at them and hopefully help you guys get some better direction. But I appreciate you guys so much. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow, okay? Hey guys, Dr. Shook, thank you for viewing our videos. I hope they help you out. If you want to, just subscribe to our channel somewhere here. You can watch a video that YouTube's actually selected for you, so hopefully it'll help you out. If you need any other information or resources, just look in the description. We've got links to our website, to our 9 lab test guidebook, and everything else that we do. I really appreciate you, and I hope you guys have a great